All right. Welcome to another Sunday Sync, everybody. We just talk about finances and real estate and keep it pretty open. So we just open it up to the public. We've got some newer people here. So we don't really have a hard and fast agenda like Max does for the Monday morning things. He's pretty hardcore. We're just pretty loosey-goosey around here because, it is Sunday. So anybody have any topics to chat about? I don't know if you guys have been watching the 10-year, but it did drop. It's kind of bounced around a little bit, but it dropped a little bit last week. So for those of us that are hopeful, hopefully that'll keep on declining over time. Of course, if you're doing DSCR loans, a lot of the DSCR lenders are tied to the Fed funds rate instead of the 10-year. Some of them are tied to the 5-year, but that's something to keep note of. If you're doing DSCR, you might pay more attention to the Fed funds rate if they cut. Nothing. We don't have our usual suspects here. We don't have Jim to talk smack or.
Oh, all star. I'm brand new, so thank you everyone for allowing me to join. In this, so I'm totally unfamiliar with the format. I haven't dug into the material yet, so I apologize. But in these meetings, do you get into like which markets that you're or sub markets that you're looking into for, different cash flow rates or cap rates or
Yeah, we talk about all kinds of
you
stuff.
do that? Okay.
It goes everywhere. We even talk
It goes
about
everywhere.
on real estate related things sometimes.
And is it primarily single family or is there everything?
I would say majority of people are single family, but we have a
Okay.
couple of small multifamily. No, you're not going to find, big, 150, 100 plus
Okay.
unit guys in here. We're probably I wouldn't even say, or not two, I'm sorry, five to maybe 40s, not 50s or 40s, probably the 30s. I think there's somebody with a 36 plex, but generally pretty small,
Okay.
relative to, big boys and all that. So yeah, we've got people doing like I do co-living. We have people doing long-term rentals. Some people do short-term rentals. Some people do glamping sites, RV sites.
Yeah.
We've got, said small multifamily. We've got a few people that are doing what do you call that? Assisted living facilities. One guy building one up from the ground up, which is interesting. Uh, just did a few of those, and yeah, just all over the gamut. I'm in the Arizona market. For those that don't know, I live in Oregon. But what market are you in, Martin?
I live in Orange County, California. I have rentals in Texas and Tennessee, but looking to expand on that. It's been so while since I've made a purchase. Work is just kicking my butt, so um, I just don't have time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but the tide is changing. It's becoming more of a buyer's market, so I want to start to get back involved.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a W-2 employee, and a lot of people on here are W-2 employees also. So feel your pain. I took a year off and bought 3 rentals and got them up, one of them back to back, two of them back to back. And then now I just bought my fourth co-living property and doing it while employed out of state, and it's a different game. It's taking me longer to bring it up, so it is what it is.
You Has anyone encountered, I'm reaching the write-off cap from W-2. Like I can't deduct anymore from my W-2 income. So
Are you married?
yeah,
Does your wife have a W-2?
yes.
Oh,
It, yeah.
so there's a couple ways people have done it. I've done it both ways. I've done the short-term rental loophole where you buy it typically towards the end of the year and then you run it as a short-term rental and you average under 7 days. And then also you materially participate so you don't hire out your property manager. And I did mine in November and then shut it down. I rented it out 3 times and then shut it down in December. And then January 1st flipped it over to my strategy co-living. But in that time frame, I was able to claim it on Airbnb and for the accounting purposes, it was a short-term rental for that year. So in your first year of deployment, I ran a cost seg, bonus depreciation, and I was able to get back about 45 grand. So it was nice.
And
Instead
then
of
what
paying,
happens next year? You just
well, then the following year, I'm running it as a regular
okay.
short-term rental. So, but I did pick up two more properties in that tax year, so I could use those to cost seg, bonus depreciate. But then I used my wife. At the time, I didn't know I could use my wife because she doesn't have a W-2. So
Okay.
now she's the real estate professional, and we were able to save
Okay.
about 265 grand that last year. And so
Wow.
next year we're hoping to, yeah, we still paid 50 grand though. So next year we're hoping to just get to a zero sum game. Although I did hear something yesterday on a podcast I thought was interesting, and this would probably be for more high income earners, not me. I'm trying to save every dime right now in growth mode, but down the road, there is a person out there whose accountant told them to, and they did it. So they only depreciated enough to get them into the lower tax bracket, like the 12%, I'm assuming. So they saved that higher end. Let's say they made, I don't know, 300 grand or whatever. They probably depreciated 100 and, or no, 210. And that brought them down to the 89,450. I think it changed this year to 994,000. But point is, they basically depreciated enough to get the higher tax bracket cut off, and they still paid taxes on the lower end, which is an interesting take on it. Right now I'm saving every dime I can, so I just hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, I can't qualify for the real estate professional. I looked into that.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's, I don't know if LLCs will help. I think it's all pass-through income, right?
Yeah, I'm using LLCs with pass through each Schedule E. So,
But okay.
hey,
But
Mark.
that's more for protection, right? Not for tax
Yeah,
savings.
you don't need to have an LLC. I'm doing it for two of the properties, just because I bought them that way through the DSCR, and then eventually, once I get, if we ever get to a point I can refinance, I'll refinance them all and put them all in a trust. I just don't want to have to put them in the trust, pull them out of the trust, and refinance, put them back in the trust, and all that crap. So I'm one of the few people that think it won't be too long until we have rates drop. Maybe I'm hopeful. I don't know, but if you're watching unemployment, it's a slow grind. But I even heard Zuber say something the other day about a potential emergency rate cut. We'll see. That would be interesting. Not that it's going to change much. I mean, if they emergency cut a quarter or even half, I don't know if it's going to do much. But over time, once they get down to a lower rate, then I can refinance. So we got Mark, the firefighter, financial firefighter, on here. Mark's one of our hooligans.
Hey, don't be giving me a bad reputation, man.
You do that all by yourself, man. I'm just kidding. Mark's great. Uh, Mark's in Hawaii, but invests in Pennsylvania. Is that right, Mark?
Yeah, in Pittsburgh. Yeah, but Zuber's still here, so I was with him yesterday, Friday and Saturday. He's at he was a speaker at an event.
Oh, okay.
So we had dinner last night.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Olivia are they're great, man. They're
Yeah.
hilarious.
There's a unofficial meetup in PA coming up in September, right, Mark? Like September 5th or something?
Yeah, they didn't invite me for some reason. No, yeah, I think in September Jack has it scheduled. I'm not sure if I'm going yet, but I know Mikey is. I think like Harrison will probably be there. I think they'll have a good turnout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for those listening, Jack is local in Pittsburgh. I'm in Oregon. I'm on the West Coast, and I would go just to hang out and BS with everybody. I'm not really interested in investing there, but and then Harrison. I'm not sure where Harrison's at. Where does he live at?
Harrison's in Virginia. So
Virginia. Okay. Yeah.
so currently has a property in Ohio, but he's pivoting towards Pittsburgh, so
Hmm.
he's probably gonna check it out. I think he might actually be under contract in something in Pittsburgh. I know he put an offer in Monday.
Oh, nice.
I'm
Yeah, I think
not
he did mention that in his Thursday
yeah,
meeting. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And then Mikey, he's in Hawaii also. I think he's in Japan right now, isn't he?
No, he was at the event with me and Zuber. So
Oh, okay.
it was like a 2 for 1 ticket. I think they weren't selling tickets, so it was like a 2 for 1. So I told Mikey, come with me.
Oh, okay.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if Zuber wants me to say this or anything, but I mean, he reimbursed me for the tickets.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, because I was kind of shocked he was going to speak there because I know these guys and I know the event and I wouldn't have gone unless Zuber was there. I just went to show support and yeah, so I told I said I'm just gonna go and then so Zuber kind of I guess he found out how much the tickets were. I mean they weren't expensive or anything, but I guess he just felt like so he just reimbursed me like he knew I was there just to support him. That's why. So
Hmm. What
um
what was the event?
it's so I don't know if you guys remember Zuber had a guest on a couple weeks ago. This guy, Diron Bethea. He's former military. He's from like North Carolina, but he's kind of based out of Hawaii now. But he has like 100 streams of income.
Wow.
So he does like they manage Airbnbs out here. They do businesses, so they do like a lot of that franchising of the Anytime Fitness. So they do that. So a lot of that is like, no employees, right? Because it's like you just scan yourself in. It's like 24 hours. So they do that. That's part of their model. But it was basically a promotion for signing up for that guy's, plans and all that. And
Oh, okay.
so that's why when I saw Zuber was gonna speak there, I was kind of like, kind of interesting. But just a trip to Hawaii and tax tax write-offs, right?
Hell
So
yeah.
yeah. But he also went to see I don't know if you guys remember Daniel Kong was Zuber interviewed him also a couple weeks ago, but Daniel's like a house flipper in Hawaii. But
Oh
he
yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I
So
remember seeing that one.
yeah, Daniel's super cool. So Daniel spoke also and he had a good presentation actually. Like he said like maybe just a couple weeks ago, he went through this crazy period where a lot of his lines of credit got shut, like frozen. They couldn't pay their contractors. They couldn't get draws from their lines of credit.
Wow.
He was doing like a cash out refinance of a strip mall they bought in Kansas City, I believe. And I guess last year someone identity frauded him, so his credit score is like five something.
Mm.
So the lender was kind of hesitant to do the cash out refi. So all these things were like happening at one time. Like even his property, like I guess he might be like house hacking in Hawaii also, but his sewer backed up and like he said like
Damn, dude.
shit flew out of the toilet. I mean like so like the neighbor's yard had all kind and the neighbors like what are you gonna do? How are you gonna fix this? So all this stuff was happening at one time and he was just like he didn't know what to do and he just was like he got back to praying and but everything kind of worked out but that was his story like you got to keep pushing and you figure things out and but yeah so it was a good presentation though.
Wow, man, that's tough. When it rains, it pours. That's
Yeah like it was like so I mean some of their private lenders were pulling like coming off the table stuff like that. It was just this snowball effect and everything kind of like hit him at one time and so he just kind of realized, like, hey, you just gotta figure things out and keep pushing. And but yeah, so he's a
yeah.
he's a he's a good guy though.
Yeah, you got to be resilient, man. It's tough.
Yeah,
What does Uber say? The first 5 years suck.
yeah. And then even Zuber's presentation was good, but it was one that I've never really heard. It was really more focused on building his brand, like kind of the social media side of things and how he didn't ask for help and he did 1,000 videos and all these things and got no traction and it was so the presentation was more about that actually
Hmm.
not so much hey Lindsay's here all right. Lindsay has a great Friday out of state investing call and she was on Bigger Pockets recently so
Yep,
go
that was
go
cool. It was a good one too.
yeah go check her out if you guys haven't but also Lindsay can dig into why she doesn't shop at Costco. I don't know if she's gonna jump on but
You're fixated on that, the cost.
I am.
Why are
It's
you so hurt?
I'm not hurt. You said they're gonna come after you. I do want to know about Amazon though. Why so you don't shop at Amazon or
I don't pay for a membership.
oh the Prime. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I caused you enough trouble already. You guys can get back to real talk.
Martin touched on something I think that a lot of people would be interested in. I too believe it's a good time to buy. So I've been doing as Zuber said, basically making disrespectful offers, and most of them they don't get back to me. You know, if you're using an agent, obviously you have to have an agent that's willing to do that. And I found a really good agent that's an investor, and so we fire off, you know, not too many, maybe 5 to 7 offers a month, so not a lot, but they're ones that I, you know, if I got a rebuttal on or a counter on, I'd be interested in. And back in April, well, I guess it was January, we got a counter offer, and then we went back and forth, and I closed on it April 2nd, but it was listed for 630, and after back and forth, we got it for 562. Now, that's in my book, that's a decent discount, especially for the area it's in. It's in Gilbert, Arizona, which is a fairly affluent area. But prior to that, I'd been making offers that were really disrespectful. Like there was the third one I got was 585, and we ended up after 3 or 4 months, we got it for 465, and that was pretty awesome. So yeah, they're out there. You just have to keep pushing and pushing. And I think this whole year is going to be fantastic for that, especially in my market in the summertime. Most markets in the summer, or, you know, spring and summer are good, but in Arizona, people aren't buying in the summertime. So if it's listed in the summer, chances are I've got a better than average shot of them being in the boat that they need to sell. So that's why I'm making offers in the summertime, and hopeful. So
Are you going direct to the seller or working through a buyer's agent?
the third one was direct to seller, but
Yeah.
I'm looking through wholesalers. My agent sends
Okay.
me stuff. A bunch of agents send me stuff. But yeah, the 3 of the 4 have been through the MLS. So, but even then, I mean, when they're on market 60 plus days, 57 in this case, when they're on market for a while, and especially if they've already been under contract once, that's even better. So in this case, when we closed, the lady got 20 grand back. So she'd basically paid the house off. So she didn't really care. She had a ton of equity in the house. And I'd looked up, she'd moved into a $1.2 million house in Scottsdale. So she had done that the year prior. So she'd had that house for a while. And then she'd fixed it up, which sucked because she put carpet in it. I wish I would have found her sooner, because I would have told her, hey, I'll buy it as is, you know, no carpet needed. I ended up leaving the carpet in there, which was a mistake, I know, but I'm going to use it for a year or two and then replace it. But it is what it is.
Do you try to push for seller financing or
If they bite on it, like you could throw out multiple offers. I know
okay.
I think Zuber throws out 3 offers, something like that. He throws out a low cash offer, a high but seller finance with terms offer, and then maybe it's just 2. Anyway, multiple offers. I've done that in the
The higher
past.
one with zero interest?
Yeah, yeah, stuff
Okay.
like that. So
All right.
yeah, yeah, I typically just lowball off the MLS, and if I dig into it more, then you know I've done it in the past, but I haven't had any success with it. I probably should, but oh well. Yeah,
Well, hey, I'll chime in, Jared, if it's
yeah.
a
Hey, Steve.
good opportunity. My name's Steve White. I'm from SoCal originally, Martin. So I'll be out there in July visiting my mom in Newport Beach. So I don't know how far away you are from there. But yeah, so I live in Jacksonville, Florida. I've got one rental property out in Reno, Nevada, where I moved from. That cash flows nicely and just kind of diving in to want to pick up a 3-2 in Jacksonville here before the end of the year. While everyone's scared, I'm trying to be a contrarian. Been a member of ORAT for 2 weeks, so trying to really have a sounding board and learn as much as I can. Been going through the Skool classes. I've got my spreadsheet up here. Trying to get up to 90 listings here. I've got about 15 that I've entered so far. I've got 2 that have a positive yield. One came on the market on Friday. It has an additional dwelling unit, which is the only reason it penciled. But it looks like someone just passed away, so it's I can't get a call back from the realtor. So I'm trying to figure out that path on that one. Been tracking another deal, real nice 3-2 and brick on slab, real good shape for Florida, which is pretty rare. Went back and forth with the seller's agent today. They've got it listed at 196. They've had 3 or 4 price drops. It's been on the market 93 days. So made them 2 offers today just via text, going back and forth. She kind of didn't reply a few weeks ago when I hit her up, but she finally re-engaged. I think they're hitting that 90-day mark and starting to get a little antsy. So I basically threw a lowball offer out there at 155. And then also pitched the seller financing kick, but also said I would build in, her fee, her agent fee. She's like, the seller's not interested in that, just kind of playing that game. So just gonna let that one sit on ice for a little while. That's the one I'm most excited about. If I can figure out this one with the dwelling unit, it would probably take about 50 grand of rehab. So it's I haven't really done anything like that before, so I'm not sure I want to tackle that. The only other one I can find is kind of flip stuff. I'm not sure I'm ready for a flip.
That one that's 90 plus days. I don't know, who knows what their contract was, but when and if that thing falls off the MLS, if it does, you might want to be prepared and skip trace the address and the owner and talk to the owner directly, because a lot of the agents will just say that, like, oh, they're not interested in that. It's not the owner, it's the real estate agent doesn't want to deal with it, or doesn't know about it, or thinks it's weird or whatever. So
Yeah, so I'm just really trying to build my network. I've been going to the Jacksonville Real Estate Association meetings quarterly. They just gave a real interesting kind of mid-year update. I got 10 business cards that day, 5 good contacts. I met an attorney that specializes in complicated closings and creative financing. So that was a really good contact. She put me, I was like, hey, I need a private money lender. She's like, oh, he's right over here. And so I got 5 really good contacts, a couple lenders. Yeah, so I'm just trying to get out there and really just trying to target buyers agents that are investor oriented, that don't mind writing a bunch of offers that are offensive, because that's where we're at. My goal is to get something locked in by the end of Q4.
yeah, I think you'll get it, especially in that market.
So that's where I'm at. 2 weeks. I'm trying to hold myself accountable, but I'm joining these things to put my story out there so you guys can hold me accountable as well.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I know Zuber calls them accountability groups. We're probably the least of the accountability groups. We're just, networking, BS, low key. The super duper accountability is Max early mornings, Mondays. Like very, hey, did you get your stuff done? Blah, 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 that kind of thing. So,
That's when Max shows up on time though. We have to wake him up every morning.
oh, really? Wow.
Nah, yeah. That's the running joke because he's always late. Or we have to always call him.
That's funny. He set the time, huh? Well,
Yeah, him and Jovi kind of run it, but sometimes Max is a little hungover.
so Mark, you just mentioned to Steve about Jeffrey Suey. He's in Skool and he's in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we've connected.
Okay, good.
We've had a couple phone calls. He does kind of an off-channel Zoom meeting with a guy in Orlando. They've added me to that, so I'll be joining them in a few weeks.
Nice.
And yeah, the interesting thing that I learned at that meeting the other day, the real estate meeting, was they had this group called JWB Capital. They've bought 20 square blocks in downtown Jacksonville, and Jacksonville's downtown's really struggling. It's really just an 8 to 5. They're trying to turn to a 16-hour type of downtown. They're trying to compare it to, Austin, Nashville, and they kind of showed what happened once they had that critical mass of 10,000 people downtown. And they were basically saying that the economic impact from that is going to do a 5 to 10 mile radius, springboard for properties. They kind of showed what the surrounding neighborhoods in Nashville and Austin did during those times. So they've been trying to revitalize downtown for a long time, but there's, the Jacksonville Jaguars Four Seasons are going up on the riverfront. Jaguars are building a building. So it seems like it might start to happen here. They're almost to that 10,000 critical mass. So I'm hopeful that we have some good upside coming up here.
What did you say? It was JWD?
JWB Capital Partners or something.
Okay.
I can send you their mid-year report if anybody on this group's interested. I can send a link.
I just posted the ORAT map. For those that don't know, since we have some new people, if you wanted to put your location, don't obviously put your home address, but Zuber says like a Starbucks down the street or something around there. Let me share it the screen real quick just to show it. It's kind of cool, so you can see if there are people in your area. So here's the map. Let me maximize this. You can find it through that link I just sent, or right here on the Skool page. If you go on the right hand side, the membership map, you click this, it brings it up. So you can go into your area, like you guys are in California, you can zoom in here and see if there's some folks close to you. Where'd you guys say you were? San Diego. Somebody said San Diego. So there you go. Robert Comstock's in San Diego. So anyway, just thought I'd throw that out there.
How do you get to that again? From the homepage?
From the Skool page, the main page on the right hand side, there's this membership map.
Oh, got it.
You just click on that bad boy. Oh, look at that. We're over 400 members. Holy crap. I didn't even know that. Look at that, Mark.
And then how do I add mine?
Let's see. You go there, and that's a good question. I don't remember how to do that.
There's like a little
that's
purple.
what Zuber was saying.
There's a purple tab in the bottom that says you can
thing?
add location.
Oh, there you go. Add location. Yeah. So there you
Okay. 10-4.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. Good. Didn't know that. Anyway. Anybody have any good stories or? I have a crappy one. That house I bought is a basement house, and it has a sump pump, and I replaced the sump pump, and then it still smelled, and so I had to pay another guy to come out and fix it the right way and put in a vent and put in a swooping 90 for the sewage to come up at an angle and come up at a soft angle instead of a sharp angle and different things like that. So we'll see. I haven't been down there yet, so I'm gonna smell it out next time I go down, see if it fixed it. Basement houses in Arizona are pretty rare, so a lot of the plumbers probably don't work with that type of thing. So
maybe someone in this group that can touch on like maybe how many properties, like when you get to the point where you're, I don't know if you call it financial independence or whatever, your passive income exceeds your expenses. How many properties did you acquire over what time frame to get there? Is anyone in that category?
I am, but
Okay.
I did it faster than most just because of the strategy.
What was that?
Co-living, so rent by room. I started
Okay.
in
So you're living in the property and renting out rooms?
no.
Oh, you're just
Yeah, so I took I looked at everything. I live in Oregon, nothing works here for me. Looked at nationwide, and I decided to start with the strategy. And my strategy is the co-living. So basically I take big homes, turn the living room, dining room, Arizona room, anything I can into bedrooms, and I rent by room. So for me, 8-bedroom, 3-bath is about perfect. Matter of fact, all mine are 8-bedroom, 3-bath. And so what I really wanted was I wanted multifamily, but I didn't like the multifamily debt. I like 30-year fixed rate debt. And, I know you could do it by, talking to tired landlords and all that, but with the W-2, I didn't think that was going to be possible. So I decided to merge the two. So
Okay.
I'm doing the rent by room in a house that's 30-year fixed rate debt. And so I like the multiple income streams from one property type of deal, right? So if I have 8 bedrooms, the debt structure is such that I only need 4 bedrooms full to pay the mortgage. So, and then the 5th bedroom is basically utilities, sort of half the year utilities, and then the other half is profit, basically. And then 6, 7, and 8 is all profit. So as long as I'm usually at the 7 out of 8 mark, 7 or 8. I'm full now, but well, I have one room out of 24. I have 32 units, but only 24 online. So I have 3 houses that are online, and out of those 3 houses, I'm yielding about 6,500 net on average. I've hit January, February, and March. I hit 8 grand net, which was fantastic. And that's net, by the way. That's everything: service, utilities, yada yada. So we used to, in April of 2023, I read a book called Tax Free Wealth, and that's when the light came on. I'm in corporate America, Intel. And anyway, I learned that there's a better way. Instead of blowing every dime, I was just like Zuber. I would just, live life, have fun. I mean, I had 401k, and, we had some stocks and stuff, but no real investments. Right. And so anyway, I learned, and we scaled way back. We're running about 4,500 a month on our expenses. So we did scale down, and then we got 1,500. So we could say about 6,000 a month on expenses, depending on food, gas, and all that. So we're bringing in 6,500. So we're 500 positive cash flow after our expenses. So we hit that in a short time, simply because I read that book and I figured it out. I was like, okay, use a dollar to make a dollar. And so I said, hey, I went to Fidelity and I said, I want my 401k. And they're like, you can't have it unless you leave the company. It's like, okay, fine. So I left the company and took the 401k. I took a buyout. And then I sold all my toys. I had a Jeep and a Denali, and I didn't have any bills, but I had a lot of what Robert Kiyosaki wouldn't call assets. But once I sold them, they became an asset, right? So I took all that money and put it in the first house as a pilot while I was employed, to make sure it worked. And it did. I ran a proof of concept. I'm an IT manager. So for me, it's proof of concept, pilot, test it, and it worked. I was like, okay, cool. So I closed on the property and then got it up and running, did the short-term rental thing. And then January 1st ran it, and it was successful. We filled it in 12 days, and I was like, holy shit. And then we ran it for 3 or 4 months, and it was great. So it's like, all right, let's try another one. So that's what we did. We did another one, and then another one, and then we hit it pretty quick, actually. So probably too quick, I'd say. But now it's been a year and a half, and I feel good about it. But it was possible that things went to shit and yada yada, but it didn't. So I don't recommend doing that. But for me, oh hey Charles, how's it going, man? But for me, it worked
On the
out.
grass.
Yeah, I got lucky. So, and then we're pivoting again, because I actually went back to Intel in August, and then since I have the W-2, I figured I can take a little bit of a chance. And so this 4th one we bought, we're not going to run it through the property manager PadSplit. We're going to run it ourselves, because the property manager back last year decided to change the fee structure, and I don't like it. It's good for the existing properties, but the new property, the way they've structured it, for every new member, there's a 10-day rake or 10-day hit. So I don't like that. So this one, I'm going to run my own. So, but Charles, I think, is in the same boat. Martin had asked a question about if people here are financially free.
Well, I'm
Financially free. What do you mean by that?
well,
What's your goal?
basically, what I think a lot of people in this boat is to get the passive income or semi-passive income from, rentals to cover your expenses, and maybe 2x, 3x your expenses, wherever you feel comfortable. But anyway, I'm more curious as to hear people's thoughts or approach on, when you get 1 or 2, yeah, there's positive cash flow, but it doesn't, years go by, the needle doesn't move much. But I'm do you pull out equity to buy more? And are you just paying cash on those further ones and then pull out equity on the one you just bought with the borrowed money? Or I guess I'm just curious as to at what point do you start converting the rentals to get that hockey stick growth in the income? Do you sell off a few properties, pay off the debt on the others, and then just have more cash flow? I guess I'm just curious on that.
You got any hobbies?
Hobbies? I don't have time for hobbies. This is my hobby.
So
I,
you never collected anything.
uh, collected anything? Not really. I have a W-2 job and I work like 80 hours a week. So
So
I
like you've never been into um cards or coins or nothing.
think when I was a little kid, I have some football cards, but that was about
Okay. Okay.
it.
So what I'm getting at there is usually you buy more than you can handle and then you trim. And I'm 55, or I will be this year. And um, my family had rentals when I was a kid, farm kid. Grandpa collected tractors. And like when I say tractors, I mean like the high point was 190. So there was plenty of work to do. I just never knew that there'd be money at the end. Well, once there was money at the end because everybody had passed, I realized that all those stories I'd heard, and I mean stories from the late 40s about property, about where things come from, about how that money was made and what things were bought at. That property was still there. The money um, that we made along the way wasn't. I'd spent a lot of things. I collected some. So I realized that if I'm going to stack anything, it's probably going to be properties and they're going to be slow growth. And I'm middle of Illinois, rural, so everything's fairly cheap. And so I'm kind of buying for cash flow. And because ironically, I had one of the same questions earlier this morning. I was looking at Dion's area, trying to figure out his numbers and his structure. So, because if you can kind of see something, you can kind of duplicate which way they're going. And Dion's advice to me is, we got a couple $100,000 in CDs sitting around. We're probably gonna liquidate a place, which is gonna clear all of our debt out. And if we live real cheap, we can pretty well quit right now. But that's not where I will consume more than I can pass on. So I remember my grandpa buying the front 60 for $11,000. Now that's over 14,000 an acre. And it's paid 1 to 2% annually along the way while it's made 4% in appreciation in just plain old dirt, farm ground. So it depends on your horizon and which way you're looking at going. So if you've got the fire to stack, you're in a great spot. If um, it's more of a long play for me, I don't want to pile on a bunch of debt until I know I can handle things. Yeah, I was carrying the background back there. Uh, we, I missed my alarm. We were out mowing the grass. Um, so I think you kind of know in your gut which way you want to go. And what I mean by that is I think you've got a path in your head and you're trying to figure out, how do I get there? So just keep asking the questions as it comes along. Because I struggle with it too. Hey, do we go out and buy, do we go out and buy a bunch of stuff on 20 and 30% down and keep the next keep the money flowing, or is it burrs? Or what I think I'm probably going to do is buy a couple more safe rentals. And as I leave my W-2, I'm going to buy and flip and keep the occasional flip for me. But we're buying cheap stuff. We're buying stuff for um, less than down payments for a lot of places. So, and there's a lot of things that here that easily makes the 1%, but it's really hard to scale. I look at how many rentals were in Tacoma for Dion's area, and I'm like, my God, that's a large area. And the farther you go, there's just more and more. So, well, my hometown is 2,500. is where my advice is coming from. Anyway, I'll shut up for a little bit. I hope that helps.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on how long you want to work your job and what do you want at the end of this. And I don't know. I've been adverse to debt most of my life. It doesn't mean I've been smart. I've always been afraid of debt. And I'm realizing that I didn't know how to use it.
Yeah.
And Jared is a great example of somebody who's using it wise. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. Mark, I appreciate you saying hi, brother.
What I do.
So on
Hi,
that note,
Carrie.
thanks, Charles. On that note, Jared, when you're using the debt, are you using it on your primary or just as a standard purchase loan?
Man, all the above.
Okay.
I took
The
out
primary, I think, is the one exception where you can actually deduct from your W-2. If you do it on the rentals, you can't deduct.
What do you mean?
I can't, I'm at the threshold where I can't take any deductions off my W-2 income.
Oh yeah. What is it? 100 grand, I think. You can take 25 off 100 or something.
Yeah,
like
so so I'm wondering, do I now just take that off my primary? Because I think the limit on that is way higher.
I took a HELOC off of mine, but
Okay.
I'm doing velocity banking, so I don't like doing that, but I can pay it off pretty fast. As long as I have my W-2 and I have the rental income, we're taking every spare dime that we don't need for expenses and putting it back on the HELOC. So we're running 10, 11K positive cash flow. So up until recently, I was taking 30K chunks off the HELOC to pay down debt, right? And then I could pay it off in 3 months. So I don't care what the rate is if it goes up. I don't like variable debt, which is the reason I didn't want to do the multifamily debt structure. But in this case, it's only variable for a short amount of time. Although I am at about I'm at 106 grand now, which I do not like. But I had some expenses come up on this last property that I'm leveraging my HELOC for. So it's going to take me 10, 11 months to pay that off, which sucks.
So you do the HELOC to acquire the new property, and you're saying you just pay off the HELOC with cash flow, or you refinancing another property to pay off the HELOC?
Yeah. So right now I'm not going to refinance anything because the rates are too high. But in the future, I've got 2 properties that are about 65% loan to value, and you bet I will. I'll leverage them right up to 80%. If I can. And I know a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people say, 70% and whatever, especially in this market where I'm actually on the same page where we're going to lose some value. But I think it's going to be single digit loss, right? In my market, Arizona, I think we're already down 1%, something like that. But I don't really care. I'm not selling it tomorrow, right? They're cash flowing great. And I have a W-2 as of now. But my goal, like what Charles was saying, I actually want to be retired in 2 years. And I just started a year and a half ago. So I'm trying to go as fast as hell because I'm done, man. I figured it out. Okay, this is how you do it. I just want to go. That might be a mistake, but that's what I'm doing. At least that's the plan. We'll see what happens. But
What happens if you fail, Jared?
I just get back up and keep going.
Okay.
So I do have, I will say though, consider the source. So I'm like you, Charles. I got a couple 100 grand rolling over in T-bills. So of every 4 weeks, I just keep them rolling. And then when I find a deal, the reason I don't liquidate this year is because last year I liquidated. I could liquidate 100 grand and pay the taxes on it, but I don't want to, right? Because I did that, and that's why I ended up paying 50 grand. 25 grand of that was the fees, right? Because I took out 250 grand. Because it's in an IRA, it's in a self-directed IRA account. Oh, hey, Brandon, how's it going, man? But I have that backup. I'm using the HELOC, and if I need to, if the rates went to like 30% or something, I need to pay the HELOC off or something. I'd do the math and say, okay, fine, I'll liquidate the IRA, pay off the HELOC, and I'm fine. So consider the source. So I have other avenues, and then of course the W-2 job. Although who knows what's going to happen? You guys probably heard Intel's laying off like a whole bunch of people, so we'll see. But in that case, I get the buyout again because I took the buyout in 23, and the same offer is there again. And so if I do get let go, I get the same amount of money again, which is basically a year's pay. So in my case, I don't care. Actually, that'd be kind of awesome. I'd probably
Threaten
take
me
it.
with a good time.
Yeah. The only negative on that is I'm only 6 months away from retirement, like officially being able to retire from Intel in December. And then the other negative, obviously, is I'm not as lendable because, if you have a job, you're more lendable and yada, yada. So I'd like to keep it for at least 2 more years. So we'll see what happens. Brandon's another one good to ask that
Yeah.
question.
Run that question past
Martin.
Brandon.
Hey, Brandon, Martin just joined, I think today, and he's got a question for you.
Hold on, I get comments on the heck.
Oh, man.
Oh my gosh.
See what I was telling you about Mark causing trouble? I wasn't lying.
Yeah.
What's the question? Sorry, I know I'm late, but I'm here. Better late than never.
What's up, Brandon?
Well, I had a lot of questions, but I don't know. I feel like I'm hijacking the session, so I,
No.
No,
if
it's
other
fine.
people have questions, go for it.
Martin, everybody here pretty well recognizes each other.
Okay.
Brandon has got a lot of experience right where he's at. Plus, he's got a banking background.
Okay.
Run your scenario past him. It'll be helpful.
Okay. So, my particular scenario, W-2 income, I can't take any more deductions because of the income cap. So one is, do I just do the huge PLOC on my primary? And I could do that, acquire more, and then I can take the deductions. But also, I think for someone that's acquired a bunch of properties, at what point, like I see, Dion talks about this, for the first 6, 7 years, like the cash flow is just, it's positive cash flow, but it's nothing much. And then at some point, it really starts to take off. Where do you get to that transition point? Do you get enough properties where you can start selling some off and use the profits to pay off the debt on the others? And then that's where your cash flow takes off? Or I guess at what point do you start to see your passive income take off from the properties? I guess how many?
I think what he's saying, we're going through a different 10-year period than he went through. Not that that's bad. We've just seen flat rents for the last 3 years. They've actually stabilized and slightly going down. I do think in a 10-year period, what he's saying is that in that 10-year period, you will start to see rent growth, but we just haven't experienced it the last 3 years, and we're just having to wait and bide our time.
Oh.
I created a video yesterday describing kind of what I see right now as you're doing new purchases. I want to throw it by y'all and see what y'all think. I was saying starting at cash flow of $250 a door. And why I was saying that is because we've seen a lot of expense creep that we have no control over from insurance and property taxes have grown so much in the last few years. Even if you had, 2 years ago, you bought a property with $150 or $200 in excess cash flow, a lot of that has been eaten up by something we have no control over. So I had made the suggestion of the goal is, of course, what Dion says, 10% cash on cash return. But then within that, saying a minimum cash flow dollar amount, because say you only put in $100 or $1,000 and you're receiving $10 a month, that's still 12% cash flow. That doesn't mean that that's good. So I said you need to come up with both a percentage and a dollar amount minimum, and which gives you room for things we can't control, because we've all experienced it in the last couple of years. Insurance has almost doubled in the last 3 years, if not doubled. What do y'all think of that?
I think Lindsay is pretty well on the same numbers you're talking about, $300
We don't like it. That's what we think.
So, Martin, how many houses do you have now, or doors do you have now, and where are you trying to get to, and what percentages are you looking at running?
I have three rentals, two in Texas, one in Tennessee. And just, now that I was saying the tide has changed, it's more of a buyer's market, just looking to get back in and get some more. Um, to your other question, percentages, I don't know. I just basically, um, my goal is to just have enough rentals to cover my expenses. I think that's a lot of people's goals, but
Sure.
it's not gonna be three. It's probably gonna be, I don't know, 20, 30 maybe. I'm not sure, but got to start. So
You had mentioned having a few more and maybe selling some of them. Coach Carson has mentioned that same thing, and I've decided I'm going along that same path. I'm looking at going for 24 units and within some period of time selling off 4 to pay off 4 so that I keep a portfolio of 20, but I have at least 4 of them that are completely paid off, which further solidifies the portfolio and gives it staying power that much more. And then when you're getting towards that financial freedom number, loan to values of 50% or lower also creates flexibility. And you need to have, I'm sure you understand that, more than just the coverage of the expenses. It should be a metric off of that so that you have room in case something changes. But that's what I'm choosing to do, is go after 24, eventually sell my 4 least performing, using that profit to hopefully pay off 4.
you're just trading growth for cash flow.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And creating a more secure portfolio. If I keep 50% loan to value on the remaining ones that have loans, and then I have 4 completely paid off, granted, it's going to create that much more cash flow, but I also want a stronger foundation. Having some that are completely paid off. Have any of y'all read the book Timeless Wealth yet? Go get the book. If you haven't, it's the best book. I read probably 10 to 15 books a year. This is bar none the absolute best book I've read in at least 5 years, and it's all about real estate.
What's the title?
Timeless Wealth. He talks about this, and during the Great Depression, one of the people that succeeded the most was John Jacob Astor, because most, if not all, of his property was debt free. We've got to think going forward, how do I give myself and the generations to come staying power? The way you do that is having healthy debt, some of them in the portfolio. I agree with Coach Carson. A portion of your portfolio should be debt free. It gives complete security. It's like now I'm going to use a scripture about this. It's like, some of y'all might know this, building the house upon the rock or building the house upon the sand. As you have healthy loan to value, you're building a house upon the rock and deeper piers into the bedrock. If you have high loan to value and you're highly leveraged, you're building your house on the sand. And when the storms and the winds and the floods come, your whole financial house comes crashing down. Well, we're trying to build this, all of us are, I believe, for us and for our generations to come. We need to build that staying power. And that's just why I believe, coming from my banking background, because I can see all the bodies left along the financial highway. I remember some of these when the times went sideways and south. The people that were highly leveraged, they lost it all. And that's not what any of our goal is. And so I always say, get the right amount of debt that doesn't put the property in jeopardy. There's my preaching. There's my preaching for the day.
Yeah, no. The other half of that story about Grandpa buying a front 60 for 11,000. When his father-in-law heard that he bought it and paid cash, he said, I wish I would have known. There's 2 more farms I think you could have bought all three, put a third on each one of them. And Grandpa says, what happens if I can't pay for it? And my great grandpa said, dump it. You paid too much. Prune off what you can't handle.
Gotcha.
And if it's bought right, if you do your work on the way in, you'll be able to identify that. Michael Zuber, well, it's probably been a month ago, talked about he liked to stack coins. You put 10 dimes, make a dollar, 10 dimes, make a dollar when he was a kid. And I said, Michael, I can almost evaluate properties in my buy box that way. I can just look at them and know that this is what I'm looking for just by the shortness of the stack or it's too tall or whatever. The more you run this, the more you'll be able to identify that. And the more questions you ask. So we're all faced with the same thing. How do we not get on this or get got on this? And that's how much chain can we sing with debt? And kind of how gutsy we are. My sister just sold 4 rentals to buy the home farm. And guess what she's looking at? Doggone it, there's a fourplex right over here. You want to put some money into that?
Yeah, I know my buy box so well. I put it out there on our group. I saw the listing go live at about 6 a.m. I knew instantly what it was, and I was writing. Now I have an agent license. I'm a broker here in Texas. I was writing the contract and had it to them by 8 a.m. and had it in contract within a few hours because I knew the buy box so well. I instantly jumped on it. I wasn't sure if anybody else was watching that close because I have my settings set to instantly when one comes in the area I'm looking to I get an instant email. You need to know your buy box so well that you could instantly act if you know it's the right deal. That's kind of what you're saying.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
What happens when your buy box becomes no longer feasible? The rent to price ratio is so out of whack. It's just overbought. I mean, you just go to another place and make a new buy box, or what?
Is it just numbers or is it
Like,
you can't support it? Like is there contractor problems or
no. Like, just for example, take any of the hot markets over the last, 5-10 years, like Austin or some parts of Florida, where like 6 years ago was a great, or 8 years ago was a great buy, right? And then now it's just the numbers don't pencil out anymore, like until prices start to come back or rents go up or both. I mean, but that's a long time of waiting. Like, hey, here's my buy box, but nothing pencils out. I mean, I guess you just find another location and do it over. Okay. All right. That's
so what
Yeah,
Dion
that's what I would
talks
do.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I said what Dion talks about, or Michael, is going a little bit farther out. And Coach Carson, the same thing with the satellite and the planet and the satellites around it. Try to go for a little bit farther out and see if there's any deals a little bit farther out that you're willing to accept.
okay.
And for me, I'm pretty much all little bitty small towns. My backyard where like literally there's houses that I've known for the last 40 or 44 years that have been rentals. They don't make a bunch. I mean, but they've constantly generated money. Now, insurance goes up, and I'm in Illinois, so taxes go up. But we're not Chicago. We're not anything big. And I've got a little bit of advantage because it's my backyard, small areas, and you start to know the families. So by looking at who's applying, you kind of know, oh, I need to consider this, or I need to ask some real hard questions. And I'll be, stay within the rules, but everybody knows each other. And maybe I do things differently. I won't go into an area that um, I don't have a competitive edge. In other words, the short, fat kid that's kind of dumb ain't playing that. I want to play where I know the rules.
Yep.
But you can ask Mark about going someplace just because someone said it was good to go. Come on, Mark. Where you at?
Come on, Mark, speak up.
I don't talk serious stuff. I only come here to make
What?
trouble.
Oh, we're on Hawaii time. What we doing?
No, sorry, I'm editing stuff. What's the question or what's going on? Kind of recap quickly.
He's looking at a buy box, an area that's gotten too hot and he can't touch it. And he's looking at advice on how to go someplace else. Mark is from Hawaii. And where'd you buy?
I'm in Pittsburgh, so I invest in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hawaii is super expensive, so nothing really. I mean, people were making it work before when they could do, Airbnb, short-term rental. So that's kind of how people were buying stuff here and making the numbers work. But, a lot of that's being restricted. You can only do basically midterm rentals unless you're kind of grandfathered in like resort areas. And even that, because tourism is down. A lot of people are not able to make their short-term rental numbers work. So, you know, I think the first thing I would say is you really have to know yourself though. Like out-of-state investing is not for everyone. Some people are very hands-on and need to, be able to see their properties or visit it. And so definitely it is not for everyone. And I've seen a lot of people struggle with that. So that's the first thing I think you gotta understand is are you someone that's able to kind of give a lot of control up, especially in the beginning. I mean, I wouldn't recommend self-managing at a distance at first. I mean, it's something you can probably work your way into, but initially you probably want to rely on a property manager or someone else. So, and even for that, some people they can't hand that off to someone, right? They don't want a property manager and they want to self-manage and things like that. So I think that would be I would say that's the biggest question first. And that's one way to look at it. And like back to I think I did kind of hear Charles mention. So, and that's kind of why Zuber folks they expanded in their area. Maybe they opened up, you know, the radius a little bit so that it could find things still somewhat in their backyard, or even maybe like an hour drive or 2 hour drive where it's still somewhat accessible to be there on a regular basis, right? So that would be my first thing is, for a lot of people, that's probably the easiest way to go is try to find something near them. Like I think what I struggle with is I know that I am definitely the outlier. Like not a lot of people have my personality and can just roll with things, and I let a lot of things just let I'm okay. I'm a first responder, so for me, a lot of times is we go to incidents and we got to just figure shit out, right? So I think that's just my personality also, and I think a lot of people that's where they would struggle. So I would definitely try to find something maybe that works near to you at first, and until you exhaust all those opportunities, then I would maybe branch out. And then if you were gonna go out of state or further, then I would find people in that area that are doing it ahead of you and, really rely on their boots on the ground or rely on their resources and not go off of like, oh, these are the top 10 markets out there,
Yeah.
or these are the five best markets that Bigger Pockets says. I would totally is Lindsay still here? Lindsay is doing well in Gary, which most people would never think of, right? But she has resources from Millennial Mike and other people and Wayne. I think Wayne, I don't know if Wayne left, but Wayne has stuff in Gary. But that's not a market that a lot of people would probably consider. But they have boots on the ground there that they can piggyback off of those people's systems that were ahead of them. So I think that's more important than whatever's the top 10 markets or whatever market is supposed to do super well or has all this great cash flow. Because any market, I mean, any market, someone is probably making money there. Someone is doing well in that area. So I think, but it's going to be more the relationships you build and who's already there. So I mean, I'm not, I don't tell people to invest in Pittsburgh, but there is a lot of people that are pivoting that way because I think they see like the relationships that I've built and the other kind of group that's forming there, so they're a little more comfortable going in that direction. But I mean, like there's like Charles, I would piggyback off of Charles, or even Brandon if I was more interested in. I mean, there's so much people that are doing stuff in their area that you have like. I mean, you have so many options, and then you just got to figure out kind of maybe who you connect with the best, right? Like what kind of little group, and I would just rely on their resources and kind of piggyback off of them. Hopefully, I mean, I hope that helps. I don't want, I mean, but
No,
I
that's
mean,
good advice, Mark. I think that was solid advice.
yeah, sometimes that can be a little serious and kind of, and I'm not always fucking around in here, but I mean,
Are you sick? Is something wrong, Mark?
well, you guys put me on the spot. You guys, told me, so I had my fun already. But so I don't know if you subscribe to my channel, but tomorrow I'm going live 11 a.m. Eastern with Dion, and I don't know if you met Curtis yet. He's in the Skool community, PE turned RE. So Curtis is in the same area as Dion, um, a little expensive market. Curtis has done a few house hacks in that market, but he's starting to wonder if he should pivot to accelerate things and go out of state. So Curtis has also been kind of thinking about Pittsburgh. So tomorrow's live is going to be kind of a fun one where Dion's goal is to kind of try and convince Curtis to stick with what he's doing and, you know, realize that he is ahead of the game. It may seem like he's not, but double down on what he's doing in his market. So that's going to be kind of the goal tomorrow is for Dion to convince Curtis to stick with what you're doing and not pivot. So that might be helpful for you also tomorrow.
And what that looks like is Dion's market, something cheap's 450. It kind of gets up to 900, a million pretty quick. Um, where I can find cash flow that's not war zones for like there's a duplex on this list that I got from a retiring landlord and I'm waiting to come up that I know is going to be about $42,000. And we're going to see what I can do with it. Um, it's once you figure something out, unless there's really good reason to change, I don't think there's. I think you can bounce around and waste a bunch of time trying to figure something else out. Is what my opinion is on that. But Brandon doesn't build to rents, and I might build to sell. I don't know about build to rent.
Actually, that's one of the things I'm considering. I was talking to Michael the other day. I said, "Hey, I've got a new concept that I might do. This is not guaranteed, but I might dip my toe into if I can get two going at the same time, I might build one to sell to the investment community and keep one. Take the profit from that and just put it down on the one I'm going to keep, which creates a little more cash flow. But build one, offer it to the community, and actually offer it under list, under retail value. So they get 10, 15 grand of equity. I get a little bit of profit. It cash flows at 75%, and all the numbers work." And he says, "Well, put it out there someday." I said, "Well, I'm considering it. I've just got to get the two lots going at the same time, and I'm probably going to put that out there and build one to offer to people. Build it the way I would do it, just like it was as if it was mine. So if it doesn't sell, I just keep it. But if not, somebody gets something and I get a little bit of profit to put for a lower loan and a higher cash flow."
We just bought a lot at a little lake association 6, 7 miles from here. Was it a week ago, 10 days ago? So um, it'll be doing something, whether it's just something to buy and hold or the last time I bought there, I paid $700 and 5 years later, I sold it for 10 grand. But we're back in that trough where you can buy cheap again. So, and most of those buyers are weekenders from Chicago. So, carries.
Steve, answering your question from you put in there, I know Jared answered it too. The lender that I went with on DSCR, he did include principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and that was the ratio. He included all of those in that DSCR.
Okay. Can I
And
use conventional?
what do you mean?
Can I use conventional mortgage for rental property?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna get a more favorable rate there anyways, right? Just more paperwork.
It just depends. Depends on the type, the market at that moment. The DSCR that I did, now this was, we're probably pushing 60, 75 days ago. What I was getting in rate then was extremely similar to what a conventional mortgage was. It just was a lot less headache and paperwork of the underwriting process, and it wasn't much difference in rate. So it just depends. Most of the time, DSCR is a little bit higher, but there's moments and windows where DSCR is similar and sometimes even just slightly below. That's happened a couple of windows in the last year and a half, where DSCR rates were actually the same or just below. It just depends at the moment.
Gotcha. So do you guys carry landlord policies on your rental properties aside from what's covered in PITI?
I've been going with Steadily recently. The reason I like them is it carries $1 million liability on every property. As you're insuring each property, I don't have to worry about getting a big umbrella, because each of their policies are geared towards the landlord, and they come with $1 million per occurrence and 2 million for the entire length of the time you have the insurance policy. I don't see a need for anything more than just the standard insurance.
Yeah, because my Reno property had a tenant that didn't identify a leak on a water heater. It did 35 grand worth of damage. Luckily, I had a State Farm landlord policy that for that exact amount. Um, and I bumped that up after that happened. But they covered loss of rent and hotels for my tenant. It was, so the reason I ask is because I've got the spreadsheet template from the first video from Skool that I'm building out and filling out, but I'm not sure if I need to be building in this landlord policy because my stuff's not penciling with that built in, but I know it saved my ass before. So
Yeah, I'd had those. I mean, I hadn't had that issue. So I'm just getting the typical landlord policy from Steadily recently.
yeah, so I usually
And it includes loss of rents. It includes all that.
end up being $100 a month kind of a deal, or what do you put in your numbers for something like that?
Well, I'm using a ratio. If For insurance, I'm using 0.0086. And that's usually very close to what the insurance rate's going to be quoted at. It used to be lower. I used to use 0.006 of the gross value of the property. It's gone up over the last couple of years. Now it's at 0.0086.
Gotcha.
And it usually comes in. I mean, I'm within $50 of that number, give or take, up or down. It's a pretty accurate ratio that I'm using right now. So I use that when I'm evaluating properties. I am using those metrics, if that's what you're talking about, in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get the first 90 listings from the guidance there. Gotten to the pencil, but they're all just real tight. So every $100 makes a difference, and if I'm trying to have a cash flow of 250 per door.
And I will say the insurance percentage could be different where you live. This is just Texas, and so I don't know if that necessarily translates across the country. You can look at stuff. Do you already have properties?
Yeah, I got one in Reno, and I live in Jacksonville, and I know our insurance policies like 2,800 a year.
So you could back into that math of, okay, what does that policy equate to the value of the property? Just and then start using that. So if it's whatever it is, $2,000 and it's a $200,000 or $2,000 and it's a $200,000 property, you just run that math. Mine have been running. I'm insuring these houses at 225,000, and it's running me about 1,780 for the policy through steadily.
Gotcha. On an annual basis.
Just giving you my math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Example. Okay, that's helpful.
Are you factoring in reserves too in your underwriting of it?
Yeah, I'm doing 15% on CapEx and vacancy combined.
That's good. I think that's the right. Coach Carlson talked about this. It was a few months ago. He said he did a study of all his properties since he's owned them, and that it was like 20, what is it, 20 something years. And he said if he found out his ratio came out to about right at 15%, because I was having this discussion with another property owner. They didn't believe me. And I said, well, the only data I'm using is I'm trusting Coach Carson. He has no reason to lie about it. And his study of all his 50 to 100 property, I don't know how many he has. And over that 20-year period, it came out to 15%. So I think that's a very solid, built on facts, not on feelings.
Was that 15% for maintenance or?
15% represented base. I think I would break it down 5% for vacancy, 5% for repairs, and 5% for long-term CapEx.
Okay.
Another
Yeah.
thing you might consider is I don't know about you, Brandon, but I'm also using steadily, but I have a 10K deductible. On one of the houses, I had to do a 10K deductible just to make it pencil as a long-term rental, even though I'm running it as a co-living house and the cash flow is like 2K or whatever. But I bought the house as a long-term rental debt on the DSCR. So
yours is 10. They won't give me 10. The highest I'm using 70. Their highest one they offer to me 7,500. I've asked them for a higher deductible. Maybe I need to ask again. I don't know if that's state specific.
Huh. Yeah,
I don't know.
I just looked up my spreadsheet. You were talking about 0.0 whatever. Mine's 0.004.
Wow.
Yeah,
So that must be state specific.
I spend about I've got one house around 800 a year. I've got, and the other three are about 1,000 or 1,100 a year. So that's one of the reasons I chose Arizona, is because like here, our insurance is stupid. Our property taxes are just dumb. So nothing works here. So Arizona's fantastic. My property taxes are about $2,000. So property tax and insurance, I'm $3,000. It's not bad. And that's less than half of what I pay just on
where I'm
property.
building.
Yeah.
And so it has to be state specific, but the highest deductible we're allowed is 7,500 on the policies they're quoting me. I do the same thing on property taxes. The reason I'm building where I'm building right now, I found a pocket that's not city taxes, but it's right beside the city limits, and my property tax rate is 1.2. For here in Texas, that's good. I'm serious, that's good.
Damn, dude, that sucks.
So property taxes typically in town, you're looking at 2.3 to 2.5. And so I found this little pocket that I'm saving basically 1.1%. And that's what's making them cash flow. I just finished a video yesterday that'll come out here in a few weeks. The one I just finished up a couple of weeks ago, we have the renter moving in next week. It's cash flowing at $375 from the very beginning. And it's partly because of that property tax rate only being 1.2.
Is there, like, I looked at Texas, but one of the deterrents was the property tax for out-of-state investors. Are you getting a deal because you're local or no?
Where we're at, we don't have different property tax rates for investors.
Oh,
I've not seen it in the counties I'm around.
oh, okay.
There could be
Just-
specific, but for other counties, but not in this area that I'm aware of.
Just to put a bow on this whole insurance thing in my spreadsheet, could I send someone a copy of my Google Doc to have someone check, make sure my spreadsheet's set up right? Is anybody willing to review my
Sure.
stuff?
I'm a spreadsheet kind of guy.
Do you mind dropping your email into the chat for me?
That's what I'll do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Brandon says he's freaky in the sheets. Spreadsheet.
I just don't want to keep
You
plugging.
know, Mark talking about OnlyFans. Now you're talking about freaky in the
See?
sheets. It's like,
Not
what is
just
going
me.
on?
You are a good looking older man there, Brandon.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
that shirt. That's a little
Remind my
shirt she
wife
always
of
wearing.
that.
Got the resort background going on. Got the Hawaii
Exactly.
shirt.
And he's taller standing on his wallet.
I just don't want to keep plugging into this spreadsheet if I got something, one of my assumptions is off. I'm putting a lot of work into this. So
Yeah, I'll take a look at. I can look at the formulas and everything, and I'll even look at it, and then I'll also send you a copy of mine, what I use for mine.
that would be really helpful. Appreciate that.
Hey, I did in this vein a little bit, not much, but I did two DSCRs back to back, and I did one with the escrow built in, the PITI, and another one where I was paying it myself because I thought, well, I don't want to give money away, and sometimes they take too much and blah blah blah. Dude, for me, it's just easier just to have the escrow pay it. So moving forward, I mean, especially when you start managing all these things, it's like it's just easier to have it done, in my opinion.
So where did you get the information that out of state investing in Texas was going to be taxed higher, Brandon? Or Jared, what were you looking at?
Yeah, this is like a year and a half ago. Even if it wasn't, it was like 10 grand versus 2 grand. Arizona versus Texas. I was looking for red states for landlord friendly, so I don't remember.
Mark, she's good with needles. I'd be quiet.
She's my buddy. She knows I'm joking.
Hey, I'm bringing some friends to the February conference. So this will be some new investors that I've gotten into the industry. They're about to actually do a few builds themselves, so they're pretty excited about coming in February.
Nice. Just make sure they don't meet Mark right off the bat.
I will try to protect them as best I can from all of you,
Hey, see, at least you said all of you, not just me.
and especially you, Mark.
You avoided me this past year. You like
Well, you made snide remarks to my wife about me.
no. Oh, that is true. Yes. But I was complimenting her.
That's
right?
right. That's right. That's right.
Where's the February meetup?
Vegas. It's the annual ORAT meetup at the Blind Center in Vegas.
How many days is that?
The weekend. It's
It's
Day
Valentine's
weekend.
weekend
Yeah.
this year.
this year's
coming year.
Valentine's. It's
Oh,
gonna
that's
be-
not going to work.
Yeah.
Well, I had dinner with Zuber last night because he's in Hawaii, but he's trying to figure out something to maybe incorporate the white, like make it like a couple, like yeah. So he's trying to figure out, like Olivia's like, you should just change it, and he's like, no, it's this weekend. It's always gonna be this weekend, and Olivia's like, see, you're so stuck in your own ways.
Gonna lose.
Well, I went and booked my hotel. I'm one of those long-term planners. I booked my hotel this last couple of days, and it ended up being cheaper than this year's. It was,
Yeah,
now
'cause
we're staying on
I
the
think
strip,
I
but it
think
was
they got
cheaper.
rid of the resort fees too, right? Didn't they get rid of I thought I saw something that they had to get rid of the resort fees or something.
But yeah,
Maybe.
Vegas
Yeah.
is hurting bad.
Yeah,
They're hurting bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even
Flight prices haven't changed, but the hotel was cheaper.
It's our anniversary that coming up.
Oh,
That's her way of reminding you, Charles, right there.
It's actually our anniversary too is Valentine's Day, so we'll celebrate out there.
You guys are smart. That's how you two birds
It's
with one stone, huh?
Yeah,
it's on the calendar.
and you won't
We
forget
got
it.
we got married in Vegas. It'll be 10 years ago
Next year,
next year.
check your ring.
Check my ring. Yeah. Yeah. This is what happens when you marry a special ed teacher. She inscribed my wedding date on the inside of my ring.
Because she knows you.
Need all the help I can get. So,
We're trying to also move the Denny's meetup to the to the Denny's on Fremont.
Oh yeah, I already
Yeah.
told Dion's like, dude, you're doing it there because we're staging a coup.
Yeah.
So
And
for those
then
that don't know, Dion does a Denny's midnight meetup, and he scheduled it like hell and gone, well, far away. And there's a Denny's right there on the Old Town Strip where most people were staying, except for rich people like Brandon who stay on the strip, the new strip.
I got to make the wife happy.
Yeah, Valentine's. Well, what else we want to chat about? Is that all we got for today?
Coach Carson says he keeps about 12% in um, the stock market. Anybody else paid attention to that video?
I saw that. Did that come out in the last couple of days?
Yeah, last couple of days.
I saw that. Yeah.
I stopped watching about that point. I was like, I'm just gonna focus on real estate.
But it fits a principle that when you're in growth mode, you specialize. And when you have arrived and you've developed your wealth, you begin to diversify. So, and I would say that's exactly where he's at. He's past the growth mode and now he's there and now he's diversifying. So I think it actually fits a very healthy perspective
Yeah.
once you get to the harvester phase.
Yeah, that's one thing you got to do is you got to consider the source. Like I love Zuber and Dion and Matt and all those guys, but that's why I like these sync ups is because we're all in the growing phase, right? And those guys are so far. Even Dion being 10 years, he's 10 years away from when he started. Now he's really good at it. Like he's good at talking about the beginning and how it sucks and this and that. But when you're that far away, you kind of forget a lot of things. Whereas, us here, we're in the grind talking about insurance and how bumping, your deductible up and little stupid stuff like that. I mean, so I like these kind of conversations.
Yeah.
Jared, I have a question for you. I know this is sort of off topic from or anyone, I guess, in this situation. I'm potentially closing on a property, and it's not quite out of state, but it's far enough for me that I need to sort of plan ahead. It's 400, 500 miles away. And it's a fixer. So are there things that you get done before close to sort of stay efficient? Like
Yeah.
setting up cameras, changing utilities, all that kind of stuff. Is there like a
Yeah.
list that you have?
It's
Yeah,
funny you mentioned that
for
because
anyone.
I leveraged. I'm way, I'm in Oregon. The houses are in Arizona, so I spent a good year though, building up a team. I've got a lot of people I trust down there, so I can any given time call somebody and they can come help me out. Even recently, Isaac, who just joined Skool and I just met last or 2 weeks ago, seemed like a pretty cool guy. He came and helped me out. But yeah, it's one of the things I do is I set up cameras. Like we're not done with the construction's done, but we're not done with the house. But yeah, I throw some cameras in there near the doors, and then for me, just in the kitchen because I have things delivered like um, refrigerators and things like that. But more than that, I think you just mentioned something about a fixer. So do you have a contractor lined up that you trust, or?
Not yet.
Hmm.
Not yet at this stage, but I'm working on it at this stage.
Yeah, I would focus on that. And I don't know about other people, but what I did, and it's worked well for me, is and I've gone through 4 contractors now, but so it's worked well in the fact that I didn't get taken for money, put it that way. But I just networked with other investors that actually use those contractors not somebody that's, heard word of mouth, so and so was good. Um, and that's what I've done, and it's worked out pretty well. So networking
Nice.
with your local investors and the RIAs, the real estate meetups there, I think is a good thing. And learning from others with who they've used. And you'll learn, like I knew going into the first one that my contractor would get it done. Well, I hoped based on referrals that they would get it done on time and on budget, which is a big thing for me. But they did mention that, hey, some of the details, like some trim and things like that, wouldn't be perfect. And so I just came back through with the handyman and fixed that up. So overall, it was cost effective and not too bad on time. It wasn't that much to fix some trim along the floorboards and things like that. He got the major stuff done, which is what I was looking for.
No, for sure.
So I think what's changed for us this last week is we've decided to sell one of the properties, pay off debt, and use that money probably to buy either some fix and flips or fix and rent. I think that's the direction I'm going in. Because neither one of us are super comfortable with that. And there may be some better, like that VA loan. I'd like to have my ducks in a row so I can get that as a house hack when the right property appears in the right area. But otherwise, I think, and I'm almost willing to swap my W-2 out for a handyman type of doing it myself, and then occasionally filling in with whatever,
Yeah,
either contract jobs or pull the CDL back out and chase white lines.
the VA loan, I've used it twice, and some people will tell you can only use it for one property, and that's not true. Because I have two of them right now, and it's an entitlement. There's a certain dollar amount. I don't know about if it's state specific, but it's 750 grand is what I had. And so with that, we were able to buy two properties with the VA loan, which was fantastic. When your market, man, you could probably buy like 10.
So we've got higher and stuff too. It's the numbers don't work on a consistent basis is the challenge. And as I look at things, I'm like, what do I want to own? Where do I want to be? I don't necessarily want to be at the bottom. I want safe areas. Don't want to buy stuff that produces a bunch of headache, either for tenant and or maintenance. But I'm not willing to overpay chasing an appreciation play. When, quite honestly, you look at some of the loan stuff and I could lend the money and get better. And that's the other thing is I think I could do pretty decent with contract for deeds on the stuff that people can't get financing on. Either that or the lower end rent. What do they call that?
Section 8 or
No. Basically how Frank started with a house that's an investor owns, already rented, and offered up to other investors.
oh, turnkey. Yeah.
Turnkey. There you go. Too much sun today for me, Lindsay. So, yeah, I'm only willing to work like I get a certain number of years I've got in mind before I'm like, I'm going to dial this back to do the things I want to do. And having the option to have a cheap life, like cheap bills, is the foundation of all that. So anyway, that's my philosophy. So anyway, I guess we're kind of quiet, aren't we?
Yeah, we're slowing down, which is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard of anybody going from W-2? Well, some of Mark's investors or his contractor went from W-2 to offering services. And I don't know if I would truly want to offer a bunch of services to somebody else. I do want to get a realtor's license. I think it's easier to monitor and fire those things off. Like Brandon was saying, I think there you go, Mark. I think EXP is my future.
I just can't wait to see your TikTok videos come out.
Oh,
Mark, he installed the ceiling fan for me yesterday.
On
Come over here.
TikTok?
Come here. Oh, no.
No.
Oh,
No, it was pitch black in the room because there's no light. But he installed the ceiling fan for me because it sat on the table in pieces for about 3 days and I gave up.
you should have recorded that.
I was taking pictures of his butt when he was standing there, but he was getting mad at me.
Speaking of OnlyFans,
Yeah.
This is the stuff should never get out there.
You're paying us to view that.
I'm getting blocked from another accountability group here today.
I'm paying. We're going to do it the way I want it done. So anyway, it works. No fires, no hot spots.
Is Herman still here? How's Herman's student housing thing going? Herman, are you still here, man?
Yeah, I'm here, guys. How y'all doing? Yes,
Good, man.
the student housing is getting better. I think in Feb when I went to the convention, it was like one or two people, and now it's up to six. So it's filling up. The house can have like it has 8 rooms for students. And then I joined PadSplit as well, and I kind of joined it halfway. So I kind of don't have an exclusive with them. I think it's a little bit in the gray area. Um, yeah, but it's getting better, and I have another person moving in this week. I'm trying to. I'm kind of a little bit of a stickler on who I'm getting into the house because I think that's important. So I'm trying to get somebody not anybody who put in an application obviously, but I trying to lean towards people who have maybe a little bit more of a professional background or maybe somebody who just finished college or maybe in college and finished college and then they want to have a lower I guess a monthly rent obligation to start. So that's kind of where I am. Yeah, but it's good. How's everything going, Jared? How's your new PadSplit?
Oh, the latest one, we're not using PadSplit, but it's not done yet. I had to fly back to Oregon for an emergency. So I'm staying here until after my son's birthday, then I'll go back and finish it up. So I'm going to pay an extra mortgage payment I didn't plan on, but that's fine.
Gotcha.
Yeah, all the construction's done, and I still have contractors coming in doing different things. And had some furniture or some appliances delivered, but not much. So we'll go back down the end of the month and get it up and running. And cool thing is I've been using up until 2 weeks ago, I had not had any luck with Facebook Marketplace. But I ended up getting 2 off of Facebook Marketplace for PadSplit, not for this house. But as you may know, if you get the members yourself, you don't pay that 10-day hit, which is nice. So I only pay 8% and I don't have to pay that 10-day 100% since I got the members myself.
Oh, I actually don't know about this rule. So you can get a member from outside and then have them just register as a member and then don't pay the.
You just have to use a code. I can show you. You go into your property on PadSplit and go to promotions. And in the promotions, you say create a code. And as long as they use that code, even if they don't actually, because one person didn't use the code, and I just sent the message chat that I had on Facebook to PadSplit and said, hey, look, I got this member, same name, everything. Here's all the chat. They just didn't use the code. And they're like, oh, okay, no big deal. So they credited me. So that was kind of cool. I was expecting them to give me a hard time, but they didn't. So that was nice.
I got you. But in that case, that member would still be on weekly. Is that right?
Yeah, well, they're 12-week commitment up front, unless they pay $175, then they're 30-day commitment. But then after that, they're week to week. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Got you.
But this house that we're gonna run ourselves, I'm gonna try to do a month and just not do the whole weekly, bi-weekly thing, and just treat it normal because it is in a different area. It's in Gilbert, so I just see how it goes. This for me is kind of an experiment on many fronts. One, rent collection, which believe it or not, I've never done because I've used the PadSplit the whole time. So this will be interesting. I'm evaluating different software packages and whatnot. But then also the running it, I'm trying to do, if I can, get a longer lease. But without me being there, I'm going to have to show it. If I'm trying to do my guess is if I'm trying to do a year lease or even a 6 month lease, or membership agreement in my case, I'm going to probably have to show the property, where the value I get out of PadSplit is I don't have to show it, since here's the pictures, here's where it is. It's not a long-term commitment. It's week to week, yada, yada. They can just show up, put in their code, and there they are. So I haven't 100% figured that one out yet, although I will be down there a lot. So hopefully I can just get somebody into the house that might want to do that for a rent savings, or maybe Isaac, the guy I met, he wouldn't mind doing it. I'll figure it out as I go. I'm kind of like Mark in that I'll just figure it out as I go.
Yeah, like you said, maybe like offer the member, like the existing member, like $25 or whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're able to show the house and then somebody sign it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah,
what,
I
yeah.
go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say I kind of don't like that, the moving fee, from PadSplit, and also the weekly thing. So I actually, like, when I was talking with the sales rep at PadSplit, they always encourage people to do a $0 moving fee. And then I actually didn't do that for my currently open rooms on PadSplit. I actually have like a couple $100, and then I do a promotion for the first few weeks to kind of level that off, because I kind of think the way that PadSplit makes a lot of money is from charging the first 10 days,
Yeah.
because those first 10 days is 100%, right? Else
Yeah.
after that it's only 8%. So they almost, the way that they set up that platform indirectly encourages people to move around a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I pitched a fit when they came out with it, and everybody said I was I don't know, negative Nelly or whatnot. And then now that we've had some time, and people are like, wait a minute, this is some BS. I'm like, it was in the writing, a year ago, So
It's encouraging churn.
Yeah.
Yeah, that definitely.
But part of the reason I'm doing this is because I want to learn the aspects that I haven't done and see how it goes. And also, so for full disclosure here, I got the house a decent discount, and I bought it as a primary. So I fly back and forth a lot. So FYI. But also, what's to stop PadSplit from changing the fee structure again? Right? Like in May of last year, they did it, and you're stuck, right? Like I had 3 properties with them, and they changed the fee structure. I'm like, what the hell? Now I had the lease agreement for 1 year, but then at the end of the year, I either had the choice of signing up again or bailing. And so I had them amend my leases on all 3 of them to where I can do a 30-day leave at any time I want. So I want to try this out. If it works out well, then maybe what I'll do is I'll peel off one of the properties and then try it out. And if it works, great. And then maybe slowly just phase out or leave them, because that I don't have a huge, with the existing properties, they're fine, right? Like if I lose a member, and they leave, that's 1 member of the house, right? Because they're pretty much full. I'm 23 or 24, pretty much full. So if I lose 1 member, it's not the end of the world. If I bring up a new house, right? And in the beginning of a PadSplit or a co-living house, you got a lot of turnover in the first 6 months because you got people that come in from out of state that want to stay somewhere for a month or 2 or whatever, and then they find their permanent residence, or contractors that stay for 3 months and then leave. And then eventually over 6-7 months, you get those people that stay longer. So over time, you'll get those longer term tenant members. But in the beginning, it sucks. And so if I was to do a new PadSplit with that fee structure, I'd take a bath. I'd probably break even if I'm lucky by the end of the year. So I don't like it at all. So they kind of forced me to do this. But that's okay. I wanted to do it in the beginning anyway. The only reason I didn't go this way in the beginning is because I ran the short-term rental. In order to do that, I had to furnish it. So once I furnished it, I thought, well, hell, I'll just do PadSplit, and it worked out. So that's why I kept going with it. Then they changed their fee structure, and here I am. So
Yeah, I think using Turbo Tenant helped a lot, in where I am. Like I was using avail.co before, and it also syndicates my listing to like 9 or 13 different platforms. I don't really know how many they syndicates, but it seems like on Turbo Tenant, I get a lot more visibility.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I turn it on, I at least get a lot of inquiries.
Turbo Tenant and Facebook Marketplace are the two platforms I'm using, but I'll say one of the things that Turbo Tenant blasts out to apartments.com.
Mhm.
And apartments.com is where I got the majority of my members. And just 3 weeks ago, I think, maybe a month ago, apartments.com now has rent by room. So pretty cool for you and me. Everybody
Yeah.
else, they probably don't care.
Does it syndicate correctly to apartments.com like in the correct category?
No, I
Oh,
have
okay.
not yet. I mean, what I
Mhm.
did was I put it as a 1 bedroom, 1 bath.
Mhm.
But the reason I got the response I did is because I put the weekly rate. Because when you go to list it, it has, the lease is 1 year, 6 month, 3 month, 1 month, and then it says other. There is no week to week. So I put other and I put 200. So that fact that the 200 showed up there, a lot of people jumped on board. But a lot of people were like, oh, that's weekly. Oh, whatever. But I got the eyeballs. So it worked.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but now the apartments.com, you can go in there and dig in and find the rent by. It's hard to find. It doesn't jump out at you. So I don't. I'm guessing here that Turbo Tenant doesn't do that yet. So we'll see.
Cool. Yeah. And you're using steadily for the house
Yeah.
insurance, and they cover like what we're doing, like
Yeah, they did, but I heard a rumor. I don't want to ask them because I'm scared to ask that they're rescinding that. I'm hoping I'm legacied in because when I first did it, I asked that specific question and they were like one of the only insurance companies that said yes.
Oh, I need to get on board like
Yeah,
real quick. Yeah, because my insurance is coming up to renew, and I've been thinking about giving them a call and switching over. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. They were a lot cheaper. Now I've never done a claim with them, but by cheaper I mean significantly cheaper. I think I was paying 2,000 through USAA, somewhere in there, 1,800, 2,000 a year, and was steadily I'm one of them's down to 800 and the other two are like 1,000 and 1,100, something like that. So yeah, it was pretty damn cheap. Now that's Arizona. I don't know about other markets. I've heard Zuber say this too, where some people said it was more expensive. So I guess it depends.
I'm in Texas. I'll give them a call. It sounds like Brandon is using them as well.
Yeah.
Gary, you want to put on our website, our YouTube channel? We're responding to a question here.
Oh, Lindsay and Brennan. Okay, cool.
That was recorded, a couple weeks ago, something like that.
So what's the rates look like in Gary, Lindsay?
The rents.
The insurance rates.
Oh, I have one with steadily, but the remaining ones are State Farm amazingly is giving me the best rates, which
Yeah.
are under 1%. I don't know why, but that's way different in California. So I have Travelers insurance for the majority, then State Farm, and one with steadily. But between $70 to 158, the most expensive.
We ended up going through shelter insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Here in Illinois. They do Illinois, Iowa, and Indiana, I believe. And we were, it cut down on our amount that we were spending. Oh my gosh, by
Like it was a fifth.
Oh, wow.
That was leaving State Farm, which we'd been with for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So it was weird. When we moved a whole bunch of stuff away from it. I was
Yeah.
just curious. And most most of the time I still figure $100 a month for our each, but I was just trying to remember what my deduction was. It was as high as they would let me leave it at.
You know, the majority of my insurance are still deductible of 1,500, like 1,000 to 1,500. But recently I've been trying to raise it to see if it saves me money. So the max I have is 5,000 deductible.
I remember her telling me they wouldn't let me go. I think it was like I wanted to go 25 or 20 and they wouldn't let me go that high.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I honestly can't remember if it was 10 or 7,500. You guys brought that up earlier. I couldn't remember. So,
Yeah, one thing I would recommend for all of you guys, um, do an audit of your insurance every year. Don't trust
yes.
your agent or your broker. Because I have it for the real estate places I have at my business. And they will tell you they got other quotes, but they never do. Right? It's not in their best interest for them.
What do you mean audit of insurance? Like you call the insurance company and request an audit or
So
something?
depends what it is. So, because some like for business, I have to go through the broker. For personal stuff, I can go online and get quotes, right? Um, so depends, and then I guess it's state specific too on certain insurance. If you can purchase on the open market, or you have to go through the broker. That's what I'm saying.
I
Hmm.
thought you meant the value of the insured. Like let's say you bought a house 5 years ago and it was worth 250 and now it's worth 500 or something, but you're only insured for 250. I thought that's what
That
you were
that
going.
too. That
Yeah.
no, just your policy, because it changes, and they, you know, what I mean, and if looking from business perspective, right? Why would I inform you if you can save money if I'm making more money on it and you're still happy? Right.
Right. Good
Just
advice.
and
Yep.
not right or wrong. It's just what I seen, especially in business. You know, what I mean, I seen it over 8 years. So I made it 5 years ago, mandatory every year, 2 months before my policy comes for the renewal. I'm reaching out to different brokers and agents to see what they can get me, right, for the same coverage. Every year it's thousands of dollars that otherwise would be, you know, what I mean, if you're blind to it, it's fixed in your cost, but at the end of the day, it's your money, not somebody else's money.
When I was a contractor, there'd be some years where I only had one or two choices. So I would make sure I'd stay in good there, but I would try to shop everything I can. I do the same thing with the airplanes. Because and the values for those change a lot every year. Sometimes they're higher, sometimes they're lower. But that's a really, really good point. Short for today. So, Jared, have you tried to do any owner financing?
Um, I had a sub two deal I was trying to do last year, and there was a component to that only because it didn't work out. But yeah, I've tried.
Yeah.
Haven't done it.
I'm trying to think of that kid's name. Michael, was it?
Michael
Um,
Mitsakian or Michael?
yes, Michael
Okay.
Masaki. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, some of the biggest things I picked up from him in Vegas were um, the way you do it is the most profitable as far as margin goes. And the easiest way to find stuff is owner finance. And I think he pays for it because he seems to produce. It seems like he has the money every time he finds a deal that seems to close quickly.
Yeah, he's got a lot of private money lenders. I'm not one of them because he told me I was too expensive. I'm like, okay. But he's got private money lenders. He also charges $900 a month for his school community. And so
Okay.
he's got a lot of income coming in from his school training stuff. And so you know, he's doing okay.
How big's that community?
He's like 60 people or something like that. But it's called I don't know. I was on his channel a while back and super investors or something. I don't know. Um, yeah, he's doing really well. I just he's only been at it 5 or 6 years. So
Yeah, he's only about 5 or 6 years out of the Army.
yeah, I think he was Air Force or Navy or something. He was up in Alaska.
Yeah, I think it was on the Army base if I remember right.
Was it? Okay, yeah.
I think so. He was an engineer. So yeah, super neat to talk to him. Super had learned a lot.
Yeah, he's gone
And
full
from
board.
where I was at just the beginning of consuming other things besides what I know, it was mind.
Yeah. Well, he got supercharged a little bit from Pace Morby. So he's in the sub 2 community also. And he's done some sub 2 deals. And I think he's focused on co-living now because he reached out to me and we did a little thing and I'm gonna go back again at some point. I think it's called Super Investors or something like that. I don't know what it was. But yeah, sharp kid.
Yeah, pretty driven.
Yeah, he figured it out young. Good for him. I wish I would have. But we didn't have YouTube and all that stuff when I was younger. So different time.
We had 9/16 and 5/8 and some grease.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it making oil? I don't know. Taste it. So yeah, for sure. Anyway.
All right. Well, we're right at the 2:30 mark, 2 hour mark. Do we want to talk about anything else or call it out?
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Good.
All right. Well, cool. It's good seeing everybody. You guys
See you
have a
next week.
good rest of your day.
Good seeing everyone. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.